I tell you, WWE loves to hype these pay-per-views premium live events. I mean, you saw the crowd, then we got told that Kevin Owens hadn't won a singles title in 7 years. You have the grand entrances, then you got told that Kevin Owens hasn't won a singles title in 7 years. You get the video packages, and you get told that Kevin Owens, I think, could be wrong here, hasn't won a singles title in about 7 years. Also, hello, my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs. We did just have a pay-per-view, excuse me once again, PLE, in Berlin, Germany, for the first time in about 456 years. We have to take this, the finger of power, and we give the good bits an up, and the damn bad bits a down. We are going to throw an up out there right away, too. Because this crowd, man, I tell you, WWE needs to keep coming to Europe because they just enjoyed every single second. And never forget, you have tuned in to a Positive Peak show, and this is the point of sports entertainment. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, and it should just leave you feeling warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. Up. Otherwise, we did indeed start with Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens, who hasn't won a singles title in 7 years. And listen, no one ever actually thought that KO was going to win the WWE Super Duper Whooper title anyway, but given they were kicking the show off first, well, that just kind of cemented it. However, given that, it almost gave both of these guys freedom. They started things off by wrestling. The crowd once again was going nuts. And Wade Barrett even had the scoops here. He was like, hey, did you see SmackDown? I watched SmackDown, and you would have seen that Kevin Owens whispered something to Cody Rhodes, and I found out the words he said right into his ear was, man, I want to go on a date with you. He didn't say that. Sorry, I got a little bit confused. He said, remember you asked for this, which basically is a massive threat. It's also a waste of oxygen because Cody would have known that he asked for this. He's the person that asked for it. Only stupid. We carried on with the stalemate, and even when Cody tried for the disaster kick, he totally missed. When both of these guys wanted to hit their finishes early on, I was like, how are you not aware of this? You're both veterans. You haven't charged your meters up enough, and they weren't able to do it. Cody earlier on had tried to dive too, but Kevin Owens had cut him off, and because Cody is very much a John Cena fan, he knew that you always believe, and if you failed, try again, and he went for another jump out the ring. Damn it, he got it. We then pretended that Rhodes was going to win with a figure four leg lock, which made me chuckle, because that's about as successful as the Blue Thunder Bomb. But this is when we got story number one. Ugh. Rhodes knows that KO is a bit of a brawler, so he's trying to trick him with submissions. That's a very strange way to go about the match, but whatever you got to do. It was a terrible plan, because Cody then got thrown into barricade as Kevin gave him a splash of the frogs on the outside. When we got back in the ring, and we got an 1, 2. It's made me so damn happy. I don't know why I enjoy near falls being chanted by a crowd in their native language, but it makes me like wrestling even more. Cody then got one of his own when he hit the Cody cutter, and listen, I want to point this out right here before I do go off-piste. This was an excellent professional wrestling match, and I am actually warming to the whole Cody Rhodes just going to go out there and have bangers. But once again, we were getting all of these near falls, and did I ever truly believe that Kevin was going to get the victory? Nah. No, I didn't. We made sure we gave him something though, because Cody did hit a crossroads and Kevin Owens kicked out at the 1, 2. I just want to point this out. I'm going to have to sit down and ponder this. But when it comes to modern professional wrestlers, I think Kevin Owens may be my number one. I just enjoy every single thing that he does do. And given how this match finishes, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for one last WWE title run. We then had to escalate things, so they went to the top of the turnbuckle, where Kevin hit this crazy fisherman suplex buster for another 1, 2. At this point, I was just clapping. I was like, man, championships be damned. This is just a great wrestling match. This is when we got to story point number 2 as well, because when Cody went for another Cody cutter, his knee did give way, which proved that everything Owens had said on Friday night was totally true, but the thing here is he wouldn't go for the killer instinct, which made Wade Barrett have a meltdown on commentary. He was just shouting, oh, Kevin Owens, you're a fool. To the point at one point, Kev turned to him and went, shut up, you idiot. That's why he's my favorite. KO eventually did go after the knee, but when he was going to give him the powerbomb into the ring apron, which has always been a signature of heel Kevin Owens, well, once again, he couldn't do it, because he's trying to be a good soldier. He was able to hit another stunner, but Cody kicked out of that one. I do not believe he used the pop-up powerbomb here, so that's probably important. When essentially he missed a swanton, Cody hit what I believe was the third crossroads. He'd hit 2 earlier, and he got the 1, 2, 3. I agree with you, it was kind of anticlimactic, but sometimes it's about the journey and not the destination, and that was this match. But there is definitely more to come here, because after they embraced afterwards, the camera went right to Kevin Owens' face, and you could just read it like, man, this is not going the way I did intend. So at some point, if you do want to turn him heel, and maybe even give him a victory over Cody, you can do it. I mean, he even pushed the camera person away. He was not a pleased pup, but I am giving it an up, and that rhymes, so it has to be true. It was a great way to start the show. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Alba, Fyre and Isla Dawn, or the Unholy Union Pure Fusion Collective, whatever they're called, were next. And this was one where you could make an educated guess and you could shout into the abyss, well, I think we're doing it just to change the women's tag team titles. That's what we did. Now, what I really care about is that we actually try and make these things feel important again. Although what I did like is that we got to the Unholy Union Pure Fusion Collective, up, down, left, right, whoopsie daisy, and we sold them as a good tag team. And if somebody is your champions, that's what you should always do, and they use their brains to outgun the powerhouses. When the Bianca Belair got her ass whipped for a while, I just want to make it very clear, she is such a tremendous professional wrestler that eventually she has to be moved back into the singles division. Like, even when she's selling or she's getting beaten up or she's on the offense, you just watch her and go, how does she make this so effortless? It's kind of annoying. The absolute highlight of this match is when we got the 10 punches in the corner, but the crowd went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I was like, yes, we're doing it again. And you can already figure this one out. If you are watching me instead of the pay-per-view, which I do appreciate, Jade Cargill was on the apron the whole time going, hand is getting warmer here, Bianca. It needs a big old slap. Wade Barrett was brilliant too, because he made 2 quips during this. One, he believes that Jade is only ever going to lose a match if she loses her temper. And 2, he called Isla Dawn a seductress. I think I want to go down there. We kind of pretended that Cargill was never going to get this tag, because at one point they were pulling on Bianca Belair's hair, which I couldn't relate to. And even when Bianca did get to her partner, of course the champions pulled her down from the ring apron. And Bianca Belair was like, oh, screw this. She took a med pack, she beat up everybody, and she tagged in Jade Cargill, and I tell you, she has a great hot tag. Now, of course, this always triggers people to go, oh, is she any better now than she was in AEW? I couldn't give a flip. All I know is that she gets in that ring, and she does all these power moves, and I search my feelings like a Jedi, like that's having such a good time. Who wouldn't want this spot? They then proved that they had good teamwork as well when they threw Isla Dawn into Barricade. And essentially they hit their big suplex finisher thing. And they just got the 3. Okay, why not? Kind of wiggled around like this, like I was waiting for a bus. So this was really to sell the idea that Jade Cargill is a monster. And when Bianca Belair had won that title, she climbed up the turnbuckles and did a backflip with the damn thing in her hand. Now listen, once again, this is all about the fallout. Continue to push Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre, continue to push these 2, but make sure we get a bunch of other teams and just build this division. It has all the potential in the world, but potential is nothing without doing something with it. There's a better quote than that. I've totally screwed it up, but it was fine for what it was. Then we had CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match, and thank goodness we got the rules. And it was what I was expecting. We had 4 turnbuckle pads, and you had to touch the turnbuckle pads, all 4 of them, to get the win. And because we are stupid as wrestling fans, and we need visual cues, they had big traffic lights, and when you touched one, it turned green, and if your touching was interrupted, it turned red. Somebody had to go and get those. It meant that I was totally wrong with my prediction too, because as soon as they had announced these rules, I was like, well, clearly Drew McIntyre is winning. And I'll just tell you this, I mean, it is a spoiler, but this whole show is a spoiler. He did not. Punk was so over it made me laugh, but also I loved how this started, because before we even got the bell, Drew McIntyre just jumped him, which does make him a big hypocrite. And honestly, before they'd even strapped each other up, which sounds way too kinky, Punk was all woozy-goozy. Wade Barrett truly hates Punk too and was really going in on him. Well, I tell you this, in the first match, we had a side Russian leg sweep, and here, after they had been strapped, we got another side Russian leg sweep. So I'm just going to tell you this, bring back those 1980s moves. Punk was then totally dead as these beatings continue, and these are why they are top tier professional wrestlers, because they probably knew going in that CM Punk was going to get a massive evasion, so why not just get straight into the beatings, and that way they're going to support him even more, and it's exactly what happened. Drew then thought about hitting the pads and winning the thing, when from nowhere Punk must have taken his Phoenix down, because he hit the GTS, and this is when they also got into the narrative, because both of these guys could have won at some point, but because they have the rage and they hate each other, instead, they just wanted to fight. Now listen, there was a lot of talk about their SummerSlam match. Let's not worry about that. If you need the proper intensity, you need to tune into this. We also started to get more whippings, so out of context, this was very strange, but also meant the whole time you heard this. So imagine somebody was like listening in another room and didn't know what you were watching. They would have thought you were being a bad boy. We then had tables and chairs as McIntyre just destroyed CM Punk with a down Claymore kick. And just as he was about to touch the fourth turnbuckle pad, Punk was like, all right, you want to use Charlie the chair? And he smashed the Scottish Warrior's head into it. Punk still didn't give a shit about winning though, so he went to hit the Bulldog when Drew picked him up. He threw him over the top rope and he crashed through the table. So listen, you can be a fan of CM Punk or you can be a detractor, but he gave us everything in this match. Let's not forget, it's only his fourth match since he has returned, so it still feels really novel within the confines of WWE. It also meant that Punk was dead weight, meaning that Drew couldn't touch the turnbuckle pad, so he had to pick him up like a child. But then at the very last second, CM was like, ha ha, I'm back, and he stopped it. This is when things got really interesting, because Punk was able to apply the sharpshooter, and it must have been the best damn sharpshooter ever, because Drew McIntyre not only tapped out, but he kind of passed out too. Now, this is when I thought, well, Drew is definitely going to win, because Punk technically had beaten him here, but of course it wasn't within the rules. But once again, I was wrong. So I know, why does anybody let me do this job? I don't know. Drew was able to zombie up though to once again make sure he stopped CM Punk when he took the bracelet out of his crotch region, and that must have given him all the HP, or the MP I suppose, because he hit another Claymore kick. Listen, given what I'm gonna tell you in a second, just remember where this bracelet came from. Because it was then Punk's turn to stop Drew McIntyre at the last minute, where he just went GTS, 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 like he was totally out of control. And even though he could have got the win, of course, he went to reclaim his bracelet, and he kissed it. Punk, man, that was like in his drawers and stuff, dude. I think you should have done that. The thing is, though, it did get a massive reaction, as I've told you for the last few weeks. I've been totally cool with it because I enjoy something different. But it did allow him to march to the last pad, to the last teeter. He smacked it, and he got the win. And listen, Germany went absolutely crazy, so it's hard to fault it. I'm also a huge fan of the fact that if you are a nerd like me and you watch every single Raw, this thing was just dripping in story, so that allowed you to like it even more, and I am giving it an up. Now listen, after the fact, CM Punk on social media did say that he is going after the World Heavyweight title, but I think I have one more in them, I think they have one more in them, and given that it is CM Punk 1 and Drew McIntyre 1, I'll be like, well, I don't know who's going to win here, and I get it wrong anyway because I totally suck up. We then got to another match that proves stories are king, and that you can't tell me that if you want to push two people, WWE doesn't know what they were doing. It was Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest taking on Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. This was absolutely tremendous. And the highlight was still when Michael Cole said that Damian Priest is unloading on Dirty Dom. Because once again, if somebody was listening from outside, they would have thought you were watching porn. Don't get mad at me, that's what it sounded like. Priest absolutely killed this fall though. When he tagged in Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley did the same. And honestly, within about 5 minutes, I was like, yep, the Terrible Twins or the Terrific Twins or the Terror Twins, whatever they're called, are the best people on the planet. That's how much of the badasses they were. And they kept laughing and they kept being jovial. It was like they were having a picnic. Of course, Liv and Dommy are acting like dickheads, so eventually used the distraction, Stimber the Still Steps combo to get back into this. And Liv was taking pot shots at Damian Priest. But I kid you not, he basically went, nah, I don't want none of that. He wrecked Dom again when Rhea was back, and she did the same. Essentially all built to this stare down when Rhea Ripley was looking at Dominic Mysterio. And oh my gosh, she's the coolest person ever. Because Liv tried to ring in, so Ripley just elbowed her right in the face when she clotheslined the condom, and this place came unglued, and then she took her legs and she did the choke thingamajig, which is what she did to Dominic Mysterio before he even joined the Judgment Day. I was clapping again. Dominic was really bumping his ass off here too when Liv Morgan did save him from the Riptide, when she was able to knee Rhea in the face, and she hit this flippy slam thing. I'm just gonna say this, Rhea Ripley was able to kick out the 1, 2, but I kind of think that should be your new finisher, Liv Morgan. It was well better than the Oblivion. Damian must have felt jealous because he hadn't killed anybody in a while, so he got back in the ring when we got the best shot, because it was Dominic and Liv Morgan getting to their feet with the former Judgment Day guys behind them, and they hit a double Razor's Edge. It was the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Rhea then threw Liv away as Priest was going to hit the big choke slam, which is when the Judgment Day were going to come out. And you could probably presume, oh man, they're going to do all this nonsense and they're going to ensure that Liv and Dom do win. But that's not what happened. And instead, Rhea Ripley went and killed Carlito, Damian Priest basically got rid of the rest of them. And the only bit that made me laugh is because Finn Balor was having a chat with the referee. He couldn't hear any of this. He was like, I'm totally oblivious, but it didn't matter because, again, the good guys still won. Liv Morgan still did this mad dive, and she had so much momentum she almost tombstoned herself. And even though JD McDonagh was trying to be a dickhead, I tell you, Damian Priest just took out the entire Judgment Day like it was nothing, apart from Finn Balor, which is key, when Rhea Ripley realised, g'day, mate, I'm going to riptide the shit out of Liv Morgan, which she did. 1, 2, 3. Excuse me, 1, 2, 3. So not even shenanigans can stop these two, and honestly, I'm going to use that word again. It's a masterclass if you're a wrestling booker and you sat down and gone, right, I understand we want to make these two people like baby faces and huge stars of our company. This is how you do it. And Rhea Ripley especially, man, you think she's big now? She about to explode through the stratosphere. So it really does come down to the fact that dominant people are really cool, especially when they whoop this much butt. So I am giving it an up. But honestly, if you want to break it down further, in terms of what this match should have been, I'm going to say it was damn near perfect. I was so sports entertained. Going to say up again, even though it's still just 1 up. Damn it. When we took all of this and we threw it into our main event, I mean, good grief. Because it was Gunther versus Randy Orton, and we kept this so simple. I mean, some people are saying it was too simple, but I think it actually goes to show what good professional wrestlers they were. Because we had the big entrances, we had Ludwig Kaiser going, say hello to the ring, General, when they basically looked at each other for a while because they knew this crowd was going to be super duper into it. So if you already got them, why do anything else? Surprise, surprise, they just wrestled to start, and when they did sort of get to an impasse, Randy just took a few step backs and he smiled because he loved the noise, and he must have done something to Gunther's tum-tum because he was smiling too. And I was like, damn it, now I'm enjoying it even more because I know they're enjoying it too. But Gunther actually didn't like that, so he kind of threw Randy around a little bit before he tried to stroke him. I mean, that was some proper strangulation. When, of course, we got to the chops. Because Gunther loves those, they're like his children. Ring General was also trying to break Randy's arm, which I suppose was going to try and tie into later, where they just got into this slugfest. Like they were just punching each other right in the face, but it came across like a wrestling fight. And once again, I mean that as a compliment. This was just like an old school brawl, but honestly, it is so damn engaging. And I mean this, and it doesn't really make much sense, but I am an idiot. I think only a few people in the world could have pulled this off because they didn't do anything, but they also did everything. What? Randy Orton must have been watching Ludwig Kaiser though, because he did start to use Simba the Still Steps when he threw Gunther into Alan the announce table over and over again. As it turns out, I bet Gunther would have appreciated if we didn't go back to Al. I was going to get a hell of a lot worse. Oh, and then just whip this dude for a while when he was doing the strangulation too. Once again, I was like, I think he's just choking him. When they were just whamming each other with these clotheslines to the point their chest did go a bit red when Randy Orton hit that damn slap slam, or whatever you want to call it, 1, 2, 3. Even when Gunther was basically using underhanded tactics, his hometown crowd, or fake hometown crowd, was totally behind him, to the point these two giants did a superplex. Everybody came unglued. This had such a deliberate pace to it when Randy decided he was going to hit the draping DDT when he just posed for a while. But you also know when he does do that, he's building to the RKO, but Gunther was ready for it. So yeah, German suplex instead, which was very apt given where we were, and Randy landed right on his head when the Ring General followed up with that shotgun drop kick. Here we go. He also hit that splash for the 1, 2, 3, which was really good because don't forget before all of this, Gunther has won with all of the moves when we got to the power bombs. And this was great, because Randy Orton could be the best salesman in the entire wrestling industry, because Gunther couldn't get him up at first, and because I am a mug, I totally bought it. I was like, oh, Randy Orton's back gone again. I was totally incorrect. It was part of the match. Gunther eventually did hit the bomb of power for an excellent near fall, when Randy Orton got up and hit the RKO for another great 1, 2, 3, no, 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to call it. And by this stage, I was so damn invested, my brain started doing that thing, oh, I don't know who's going to win. So they had me like a fish when they did go to the outside. And not only did Randy back suplex Gunther into some of the steel steps, but he then built himself an entire staircase and he walked up the thing and he gave Gunther a super back suplex through Alan the announce table, which just exploded. And if that had ended the thing, I would have totally accepted it. He had to roll Gunther's dead ass back into the ring. He looked like a comic book villain during this. And when he went for another RKO, all of a sudden Gunther, he must have eaten this Phoenix down because he whammed Randy right in the back, So I freaked out again. He also locked in the sleeper straight away, so let's not forget that Gunther has got a damn sleeper over because everybody reacted to this. When Randy Orton was like, wait a minute, I'm kind of in the RKO position here. Now, he wasn't able to get that, so he just smashed Gunther right in the skull. When Gunther went, nope, he chopped him in the back, and he went back to the sleeper. Night night. He also started hitting these elbows like he joined the Batball Combat Club, and this was so violent at this stage when eventually Randy Orton's brain was like, dude, I'm not getting enough oxygen. Whatever you're doing, stop doing. But he refused to give up. So the referee lifted his arm. It flopped down. The match was over. Randy Orton had passed out, and technically Gunther had won by submission. But again, let's not forget, it was a sleeper hold. So this is all Randy's fault. He hadn't got his 8 hours. So this was utterly tremendous wrestling. And afterwards, you had a passing of the torch moment because Gunther and Randy Orton shook hands. And when do you ever see that? So honestly, if you are into, I don't know, wrestling trying to be real, it's a terrible way to say it, but you know what I'm talking about, you have to check this out. And even though maybe the result was kind of obvious, I am still totally giving it an up. Again, only a few people could have pulled this off, and they did it and then some. Which did indeed bring us to the end of the show, and for one reason or another, this was one of my favourite B pay-per-views that WWE has done this year. And that's not a slight of the other ones. Maybe I was just in a good mood, but I'm totally giving it an up. Now, of course, more importantly, I need to know what you thought about Bash in Berlin, so leave me a comment below, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the screen for other ups and downs videos so you can see how wrong I am about wrestling all of the time. But otherwise, have a great day, my friends, and I'll see you soon.